Hey everybody, welcome back to Midnight Garage. Hey, on this episode we're going to be getting started on a brand new project. So it's the time of year for these kind of jobs, so figured I'd bring you guys in for a look at this one. So as you can see, this is a really nice 71 Chevy truck, and it is here for a paint job. So I'm sure in the camera it looks like it doesn't need a paint job, and honestly the truck does look fantastic. It's a really nice truck. But if you get up close, you'll see the clear coat is kind of delaminating everywhere. It's breaking down. You see these little kind of bubbles everywhere. Well, I don't know how well you can pick that up in the camera, but yeah, you can probably see it pretty good here on the box side. So kind of all the top surfaces are sort of broken down like that. And if you go around the truck, there's a few spots that need to be addressed, but there's nothing really bad. It's a really nice truck. I think the worst on the entire thing is this fender. There's an old repair that's breaking down. It's failing. So I don't know much about it. Customer bought this recently, enjoyed it for the summer, and decided to get it painted. So I don't know how long ago it was restored or painted, but whoever did it did a really nice job. If you look around this truck, you know, there's no overspray or there's no over masking on any rubbers or anything. So it was taken apart nicely. And it's just a nice, straight, clean, really nice truck. So yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of, the clear coat's just kind of going away everywhere on it. So not a big job. I mean, we're not digging into it, taking it to bare metal or anything. It'll be just a pretty straightforward paint job, I think. I hope, but I've said those words before. So anyway, I'm going to get this thing stripped down and we'll see what we have to work with. And bam, just like that, she's all stripped down. Just like TV, only takes a couple of minutes. So, quick walk around, kind of show you guys some of the little bit of stuff we found. Definitely nothing serious. A little bit of rust starting in drip rails. So I started digging out some of the sealer, and it actually looks like this is still the original, probably 1971 seam sealer in there, so it's all actually flaking out easy, which is nice. And yeah, and as you can see in there, the trough is actually clean. It's just a little bit of surface rust, but I'm really happy with that. I mean, maybe this isn't factory, maybe somebody redid it, but whatever stuff they used shrunk up really bad. But anyway, so that's not a big deal. So there was that spot. Really kind of down low, there was some issues in this old truck, but not really issues, but if you look at the way stuff has been finished off, way down on the bottom, almost all the way around, kind of the bottom, the box sides are a little rough, but I mean, that's minor, you don't see it. I'll clean it up and make sure it's nice and smooth in there when I do it, but now the other thing is this fender. It's got cracked filler starting here, pretty bad in here, it kind of goes all the way back, so let's have a look see what we're working with in there. See if the camera will stay there. Yeah, fair bit of filler, but I mean, honestly, it's not overly thick. It's kind of thick, but it's not brutal. So, yeah, I think I'll grab a bigger machine, strip that out, and we'll see if this, if it's something we can work the metal out a little nicer and do a nicer repair, or if we should be looking for a fender, but I kind of have a feeling we'll be okay to save this one. We'll see what's in there. So I'll bring you guys back for a look after I strip it out. So I've done a little stripping back on the fender here. I thought I'd bring you guys in and kind of show you where I'm at. So it does appear this truck was done probably a lot longer ago than I thought. It's got lacquer primer on it. So no one's used lacquer primer in a really long time. So that makes me think it's a much older restoration than I initially thought. Digging into this filler, and you could see this isn't the first time it's cracked. You could see quite a few places where it had been ground into, and some more modern looking body filler shoved into it, and then it was sanded smooth again and painted again. And if you come back here, you see all this kind of tells a story. You know, you've got the body filler from when it was done over bare metal properly, whenever it was done. And then there's lacquer primer. And then there's paint. And then there's body filler right over top of paint. Now, you never want to put body filler on top of paint. It's meant to go on bare metal or primed metal, but that's what it's designed for. But anyway, and actually there's one of those spots there, if you can see that. Some more kind of modern looking white putty where it's been cut into there. But yeah, so filler, primer, paint, filler, primer, paint. And they just put body filler right over these holes. At first I thought it was holes that someone had used for pulling dents they used to do back in the day. But as I'm going along, it looks like this was a fender that had holes for a molding. So if you come down here, you can see this fender was blue at one time. So that scares me a little because they probably continue like that. Now those have to be welded up. You can't just put body filler over a hole. I mean, that's probably where some of the cracking came from. But, I mean, it lasted this long, I guess. I know the doors don't have those holes because when I took it apart, I looked in there and it looks like these were new doors whenever this truck was done. So, I mean, that is one of the issues with doing a paint job on something like this. I am not stripping this truck to metal. That would turn it into a massive job. You know, it's just here for a paint job. We're just going to make it nice. But you don't always know what's underneath. And, you know, I'm the guy that's got to warranty it after I paint it. But if it's something like that I didn't do, it can cause an issue. And it's, you know, it's not my doing, so do I warranty it if that cracks further down the road? That's, yeah, that's one of the issues you run into being self-employed and doing this kind of work. But anyway, this fender is actually, I mean, it's been worked, but it's not that bad. So I think I'm going to keep stripping it back a little more, and I'm going to get in there and hammer and dolly this, weld up these holes, and kind of see what we have. And I think we're going to be just fine to salvage this fender. It's something, you know, I'll be comfortable warrantying my repair on it. So anyway, I'll carry on, bring you guys for another look in a bit. So here's another look at this fender, guys. You know, Been working on it for a couple hours. I showed it to you once I ground all the old filler out. So I spent about 5-10 minutes with a hammer and dolly and brought the metal out to where it should have been. It's pretty accessible in there. I was able to get my hand right up in there with the dolly, no problem. And I did dig out the other molding holes, welded them up. And now the fender is nicely repaired with way less body fillers. So it didn't take much at all. So, got that knocked out. I'm gonna continue on with some prepping, and I'll periodically bring you guys in for a look and see how she's coming along. Well, it's pretty much the end of the day on Friday, so I just thought I would bring you guys in for a quick look before I call it a day. So I've got the cab pretty much all sanded, ready for primer. Now, you can see, I mean, there's not a lot of burn throughs on this because it really was in such nice shape. Yeah, the worst cleanup on the whole truck has been around these drip rails. So yeah, other than kind of delaminating clear coat, now I've taken the clear coat right down and right off in a lot of places. So it does look to me like the truck was probably painted in single stage with just one coat of clear on it, because the clear is really thin, but sanding through the clear, there's still a lot of material there. It makes me think it's probably a single stage paint. So here's a little old painter trick for you guys. So there was no reason to take the windshield out of this truck because, you know, there's just no issues. There's no rust around it. You can see pulling the rubbers up that it's super clean. It was taken out whenever this truck was painted last. But here's a little trick I've done for years. Just take a piece of rope and shove it underneath the rubber. So you can see that's bringing that rubber up, a nice little gap there. So I'm able to sand right in there behind the rubber. And then it'll be able to, when I prime and paint, we'll be able to mask that up nicely. And there won't be any risk of having a paint edge or anything on that rubber because it's pulled right up out of the way. So it just makes a nice clean job when you're not taking the glass out. And in this case, you know, the windshield's perfect, doesn't even have a chip in it, so I didn't want to risk having it pulled because then you've always got the risk of buying a windshield when you're taking them out. So anyway, that is where she is at right now. Yeah, some minor things, but overall truck is pretty darn nice. So probably sometime next week I'll get this cab masked up. We'll get some epoxy primer and some urethane high build primer on it. And then I'll move on to some of the other pieces. But yeah, I will keep you guys posted. So I've got the truck masked up in the booth for some primer. Figured I'd bring you guys in for one more check-in, more look before we get her primed up. So the hood I ended up taking down to bare metal, as you can see. Just by the time I took all the clear coat off, I was digging in so much that it was just easier to strip it right down. In that case, you know, it revealed some old damage. So that is kind of why sometimes you want to avoid stripping them to metal, because then you end up digging out all the old body filler. If it's in good shape and it doesn't have to come out, then you don't have to redo it. And that was kind of the reasoning behind not taking the truck to bare metal. And yeah, I mean, as you've seen, this thing is in really good shape, so it hasn't needed excessive work. So we're going to give this thing a couple of coats of epoxy primer over any bare metal, and then it'll get 2 or 3 coats of high build urethane primer. That'll be then blocked out for paint. So I'm gonna go do some primer. I'll bring you guys back for another look at it later. just a quick end of the day update. Thought I'd show you guys where this old truck is at. So we got a few coats of primer on the cab and hood. So this is, like I said earlier, this is 2 coats of epoxy primer over any bare metal. And then it's got 3 coats of high build urethane primer on top of the bodywork. And then just 2 coats over all the rest of the truck. Just with all the little burn throughs, I chose just to prime the whole truck. I'll block it out again. We'll make sure she's nice and straight, although the body was quite nice on this one. So with that out of the way, and then I've been working on the box here. So basically what I'm doing on this, sanding it with a 220 grit, kind of taking all the top layer off so that the clear coat was actually worse, quite a bit worse on the box, well just the top surfaces. So I'm basically taking the clear right down, mostly off. And then same thing, this will be re-primed and blocked out again. And then just kind of sanding away on the cowl there, so hopefully tomorrow get some primer on the rest of these pieces. Box, cowl, tailgate sitting over there. And then maybe get to prepping on the cab. Yeah, and then there is some inners and stuff, the inside door steps and stuff we're gonna repaint. There's just a little bit of surface rust and stuff in there. So, I'm gonna call it a day for today. But we'll see where we end up on this tomorrow, and I'll bring you guys back for another look, as always. So let's do another end of the day check-in. So I just pressure washed up the frame on the truck. Just nice to do while the box is off, because you can get at all the stuff you can't reach when the box is on. So truck is out of the booth. It's all in primer, ready to block out, prepped for paint. And I've got the box and tailgate in here. A little more sanding left to do on the tailgate, but in the morning I'll finish these up, get some primer on these pieces. Did find some cracks in the body filler here, and it turns out there's actually, it had, looks like a fuel door. There was a square welded in right there, so who knows, could have been a farmer thing, could have been for a propane system, could have been for anything, but, or it could have just been off a different truck, this box, who knows. But anyway, so I ground that out and took care of it, so it's finished off nice. And then in the morning as well, we'll get to prepping on the inside of the hood. So the customer wanted this all cleaned up and painted body color, so it looks a little nicer when he pops her open, because it kind of looks like a bag of assholes underneath there. So anyway, end of the day, I'm gonna shut her down, go have a beer, and we'll be back at her in the morning. What's up, everybody? So end of the day check-in again. So I haven't recorded a whole lot of what's been going on with this truck, because it's all just kind of boring, sanding, priming, sanding. But I figured I'd sort of bring you along for the steps at least. So I've been prepping on the inside of this hood for a couple hours here today. It's kind of a disaster, but that's all right. We'll get it. And then so I got the box, tailgate all in primer today, so that's all ready to be blocked out. And one step closer to being ready for paint. So I think what I'm going to do here, guys, I'm just going to end this video here. Just so it doesn't drag on too long, just make it kind of a quick one. Take you guys along on the steps on this truck. I will call it part 1, and then when I get back to it here, the next little bit, once I get to the prepping and painting, I'll start a new video and do the kind of do the prep, paint, and assembly on that one, hopefully. probably won't be working on this truck next week. I've got a little collision job coming in, so I'll be working on that. If you followed along on the Chevy 2 mini tub job, I'm waiting on some parts for that one. Once I get parts, we'll get back to recording and do part 2 with that car. So yeah, so as always, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, do me a favor, just hit the subscribe button, you know, for, like I said before, I don't get anything for it, but if I can get, you know, more and more subscribers, maybe the channel will turn into something where maybe start getting some advertising, or, you know, become a bajillionaire. Yeah, not gonna happen. But anyway, just having fun making the videos. I'm glad some of you guys like watching them. Leave me a comment, let me know what you like, what you don't like, anything you'd like to see more in depth. And hit subscribe if you want to see part 2, or I'll get this thing prepped up and painted. Alright, thanks guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time.